We are live, and what's up, Pinellas?
Hey there.
Hey, Marianne, how you doing?
Good. It's been a minute, huh?
It has been a hurricane or two.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember not long ago we were just talking about some kind of tropical storm, and we were all ooh.
Yeah.
That'll show us.
2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. Yeah.
But yeah, here we are.
So, yep. Welcome to episode 11 of What's Up, Pinellas. If you are seeing us and hearing us, if you could give us a 5x5, let us know that we are here 5x5. Let us know you hear us. That would be awesome. Greatly appreciate that.
Sorry.
We
Yeah, we are really live.
We are really live.
So fun.
Marianne gave us the 5x5, so you don't need to do that. But if you are watching live, hit us with the hashtag live. If you're going to watch this on replay, hit us with the hashtag replay. And so, Marianne, what's going on? Tell me about your real estate day.
Well, my day today, I actually spent a lot of time inside. I have a new client that has sold a condo, and they are looking to do a 1031 exchange to purchase a single family home. They're trying to get away from the condos, and they have this as a rental. It's been a really great property in a great community. We're under contract with that, so now he's looking for a single family home. So what I was doing was I was giving him some comps, not just on the properties that fit his budget, but also on the potential rental values. So which is a little, it was a little bit time consuming, but I was working on that for a good portion of the day, morning, and kind of following up with people. I did get to go out to my property, the rental property in Tarpon, and meet some contractors because we're still coming back from the hurricane there. So
Nice.
That was me. How about you?
Nice.
What do you got going on? I know, Brian, you are just the busiest man. You really are. So tell me, what did you do today?
Well, I'm busy when I could have put my stone crab traps out October 5th, and we're now October 24th, and they're still not out.
You said that.
Yeah.
I'm like shocked.
Yep.
Shocked. It really is the end of the world.
Yeah. So, but it's all stuff that needs to be done. Coming out of hurricanes, trying to help people in different ways. Found out, just got clear to close on a loan that I got the contract on the 12th. So 12 calendar days, 8 business days, start to finish. Everything's done, clear to close.
So the 12th after the second hurricane,
after Milton. So actually, Milton's the third. So you had Debbie, little Debbie in August,
right.
Then Helene in the middle, and then Milton. So all three of those were designated as are presidentially declared major disaster areas. So all three of them. So we kind of scoot Debbie aside because it hit the panhandle, not the panhandle, but the Big Bend area.
Big Bend, right? So, and here I'm throwing you some curveballs as usual. So, a conventional mortgage does not really affect that, but for a FHA or USDA, what happens in those cases when there's a federal disaster area?
So it affects all mortgages, because part of the mortgage process is making sure that you're lending on a home that is there, not damaged, no trees falling on it, no water damage, all that stuff. But as far as opportunities to get into homes and that kind of stuff, there are special mortgages through FHA, which is called a 203H, and you can literally, whether you're renting or own a house, you can literally get into a house with zero down and zero out of your pocket if the seller is willing to pay your closing costs. And the house that you lived in, or the condo that you lived in, whether you owned it or rented it, was declared by FEMA a total loss. Okay. So you can, as the owner, you can rebuild that one, take it to the concrete and rebuild it. And as a renter, you can now buy a house because you're displaced with zero down and zero out of your pocket.
I'm going to interrupt. So I have a question. If you are a renter and you are displaced because the owner is not maybe making the repairs, maybe not doing what they need to do. Does that allow you to be eligible for these?
So it's determined by the insurance company and FEMA, and if they declare the house is not livable and rebuildable,
Okay.
then you qualify.
Okay.
And it's not, you don't have to run out today and buy a house. You actually have a year from the date of the declaration, the president's declaration, to buy a house. You don't have to rebuild or rebuy in a flood zone. You can move inland, you can move out of the state, move across the country. You do have to, keep your paperwork in order to prove that you're part of that program. But yeah, it's an opportunity for both buyers and renters to reestablish themselves. You do have to qualify. I mean, it's not just everybody gets a loan.
No. If you qualify for a mortgage, but you, for somebody that maybe doesn't have the down payment, that's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, how about somebody that maybe is in California, where they've had major fires, and that is a disaster area, and they're not disaster, but
yep. So anytime a presidentially declared major disaster area, and they have FEMA has a list, and you just punch in the state and then list all the ones, the date of the declaration, and then you have a year from that date to use those benefits. So
that's good to know. We did have a couple of years ago, we had quite a few people coming from California because of the fires, and they had to relocate. So that's very good to know.
So and then you think about it, between Helene, Milton, and Debbie, you basically, from the Keys to Virginia, have an opportunity to be within that area and have that happen and use that benefit, use that special exception, because normally FHA is 3.5% down, and so every $100,000 you're saving $3,500 out of your pocket.
Right.
So
right.
So it's pretty huge.
That is that's we're trying to salvage good things out of disasters.
And the nice thing, I mean, to take a mortgage that that I get handed, the contract is when a mortgage starts for me. On the 12th of the month, coming out of these hurricanes, and be able to, with power outages and internet outages and everything in between, to basically work with the lender, work with an inspector, home inspector, insurance inspector, appraiser, surveyor, all these people, and just getting back to it and getting after it in that shorter period of time is just awesome. And it's the team that I work with and the people we choose to work with and pick and that kind of stuff. So it's just very cool.
It is. I actually had two closings this month that came the day after each hurricane hit. So we're lucky that we were able to move things forward.
It
didn't stop us, but
Yep. So then another different client had an appraisal come in $57,000 over the purchase price. So they were, realtors and the borrowers were biting their fingernails about, coming in short, and what do I do if it doesn't?
I heard about this. I heard about this today because it's a client that I know, and it's really exciting too because, as you know, she was displaced from the hurricane. Her place flooded. She was a renter, and she has since decided to try and make a purchase. And there was a lot of really cool things came together to make this happen. And then this was
icing on the cake. Icing on the cake.
We don't want to give out too much information, or else a listing agent's going to be sad. But we're the buyer's agent on this.
I just sometimes things are better left unsaid. And then I went to my investor group, the one down in South County, and that is both enlightening, educational, and just an amazing opportunity. In the wisdom that comes into this room and the different aspects of it, and the opportunity to say and do things that they're like opportunity, but they're like, but how, what do you do, how do you put it together? And so, coming up with things like, water damage, reno, rehab loans, and they're
Well,
like,
show us that again, because I got mine in the mail. I was so excited. I got that in the mail. Yeah. That's awesome because, this is a great opportunity. What's that saying you always say, Brian, about the
I got a lot of saying.
the slaughter and the cows and the or whatever. Warren Buffett said something about
It says
greedy.
you're supposed to be. There's no slaughter.
Okay, whatever.
Oh, it's be fearful when people are greedy. Be greedy when people are fearful. Okay. Has nothing to do with cows. Has nothing to do with slaughter. I'm thinking PETA, don't call me. I had nothing to do with it.
I'm thinking of hogs get slaughtered and
pigs get fed.
Yeah,
I do say that sometimes.
Yeah. I got a little things are crossing.
That's so funny.
We have a good time here. I
yes,
don't know if you do have a good time listening to us. You're just shaking your head, which I get.
That's so funny. But there is opportunity, and part of it is there's an opportunity to help people that need to be helped. And what I try to share with people is there's no good business in taking advantage of people that can't help themselves. It will come back. There's, from Keys to Virginia, you can find enough business to do very, very well in any aspect of the real estate market right now, in just being honest, truthful, and helpful in giving people information. And so I'll talk about it in more depth, but through the last 3 meetings, we've kind of worked through, all right, well, you got an opportunity to go and help people, but you have some FEMA limitations. And if those come into play, does that shut you down, or is there another solution after that, and that kind of stuff? And then, as we just talked about, kind of popped up in talking about, hurricanes and closing loans, there are loans out there to help the borrowers. These rehab loans and rental loans are for homeowners primarily. There's 8 different programs, and 6 of them are for the homeowner, and 2 of the 6 are for investors. Mm-hmm. So there's a ton of help out there for people that need help. And, we'll talk about that further, but it's just to be in that room and learn from people that are, I've been doing this 24 years. Guys sitting in the room, they call him the Godfather, sits over in the corner. Been doing it for 50 some odd years, 58 years, 60 years, something like that. And so when he opens his mouth, the room gets like, quiet, hear a pin drop. So just pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yep. Yeah.
And so what do you got for us today?
Well, let's see. What am I gonna what are we talking about? Well, one of the things that we like to do for you is let you know what's coming up this weekend, and we have an open house that I'm going to be hosting. And I've mentioned this listening to you once before. But it wasn't yet on the market. It was coming on the market. And so we have some visuals for you here. We've got some pictures. I think we're coming up here.
I have it pulled up somewhere.
But I do want to say, so I have a website, and I have not talked about this much, but I have a website. It's Mary Ann Davis.
Let's go there.
.kw. Yeah, that's I thought I sent the link. MaryAnnDavis.kw.com.
It's one of these up there. There's like 34 of them open up there.
I know.
And
this is why it's good to do live, because you'll see what we do.
Yeah, I
in
think
any case, you go back to Zillow. That's cool. But my website, it's going to give you the open houses. If you're out there trying to look for open houses, you can click a button and get all the open houses in a particular neighborhood for the weekend. And you can reach out to me through that website and ask some questions. This particular open house is in downtown Palm Harbor. It's an amazing location, just off 16th and Pennsylvania. It's 1604 Pennsylvania Avenue, and it is a new construction. It's a 2-story single-family home with a totally enclosed yard, during the hurricane, that was one of the only things that was affected was the fence, and that's since been repaired. And everything else, it's a high and dry. So beautifully appointed with a great kitchen that looks out into the family room overlooking the backyard. I'm really impressed with how I'm winging this without the pictures.
Oh,
yes, okay.
Let's do share. Let's find share.
There we go. Now we got it.
Oh.
But it's walking distance to or a golf cart to the downtown area where all the restaurants are, to Wallspring Park, to the Pinellas Trail, and you can see it right there. It's 693, which is actually priced under what the average for this type of home would be. It's actually a great deal for this particular home. Like I said, it was a new construction, 2023. There you go. That beautiful, absolutely beautiful family room. And it's abutted by the kitchen, great kitchen with a beautiful quartz countertop, stainless steel appliances, just really top of the line, everything. This is a custom builder that made this home. And there's a first floor, there's an office, or you can have that as a guest room, and a dining area, a 2-car garage on the first floor. Upstairs, there's 3 bedrooms with the master. We're
still in the backyard.
Oh, we're still in the backyard. There's that fence yard I was telling you about. Just going through there. There's the master upstairs, which is absolutely beautiful. Spacious, lots of light, great closets, beautiful bathroom with your vessel tub and walk-in shower. It's got a little loft area on the second floor, and then there's 2 bedrooms up there as well. So I'm having an open house there on Saturday from 11 to 1. Please come by and see me. One of the things that we've had a little bit, I'm going to lead into my next thing I wanted to talk about, is the what's going on in the market. There it is. Look at that beauty. See, that's 16. That's Pennsylvania and 16. It's right down from the school. You got school kids that could walk to Palm Harbor.
So there's the football field. Back to the football field, so you can YMCA down this road.
Yep.
Right here. The Palm Harbor CSA.
Mm-hmm.
The water out there. Yep, that's cool. Very cool.
Really great.
There. See, you just said, there's YMCA. There's YMCA.
So we have it all printed out for you.
I thought I was being tricky.
Yeah.
Being helpful.
So please come see me. Stop by and see me on Saturday. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is what's going on in the market in Upper Pinellas.
Oh, we're jumping right into that, huh?
Can I do that?
I don't get to talk something.
Oh,
no,
no.
Just kidding. Okay. Let me find the next thing that we're talking about.
But
next thing I lost on my computer.
I want to say though, Brian, everybody's asking me like, what's going on with the market? What's going on in the market? But right, I have noticed. Okay, so things were really crazy with the hurricanes, and people kind of froze. There's the elections and all that. But what's happened is I'm finding that it's really picked up considerably in the last this week, the last few days actually. But this is what happened in September. Oh, there it was. Oh, you have it?
Yeah, I have it.
Oh,
I just got to move it.
I
just got to move it so that we can
Oh,
still see us and
okay.
what we're trying to do, along with what you're trying to show us.
We
So
need an
it was just-
engineer. So Brian
it's
doesn't have
called
to deal with this poor thing, having to deal with me.
Oh, I think I
with
just closed it.
screens. And
I think I just closed it by accident.
okay.
Alrighty then.
And
we are
I didn't
doing.
bring a copy, so I didn't bring a copy with me, so
So we'll do this, and we will do this.
okay.
And we will do.
Share.
So I guess we will do.
I can also just read the stats. You guys don't have to see the pretty picture and read along with me.
The problem is Let's do this.
Basically,
Let's try this again and share, present, share screen, and where would that be?
there it is. Oh,
Wow. So can you tell it's been 3 weeks since I've done this?
Good. We're doing good. I'm proud of us.
Yep.
So no, I can't read it because it's too
I'm going to
clear.
make it larger.
Thank you. All right. So our active listings, you can see that they have gone up, only up by 1%, but it's up a lot over last year because we've been seeing that steady increase. Our new listings are down 10%. And again, this was September. People were kind of hiding. I don't know what was going on. And pending sales were down. Our listings sold were down. Days on market was going up. It's up a lot from last year, but last year was, it was still a really pretty quick market. And what I like, though, is the average sales price. Look at that. It's up 1%. It's not changed much since last year, but it's up 1%. And that's a good sign because we're holding strong.
Yep.
We're definitely holding strong. And people are on, like I said, they're just kind of sitting back and watching. But I've noticed this week we've gotten a lot more calls. A lot of people wanting to see properties. A lot of activity at the open house.
Yeah, so you have obviously a combination of things there. You had interest rates drop a little bit from when the Fed did their reduction earlier this month. That's not a direct correlation. That's just a reaction to, the rates drop, and everyone just runs to it and causes some changes in the marketplace. You have with people with damaged houses and knowing that they are not going to be back in those houses for 6 months, a year, 2 years, rebuild, whatever. They are gobbling up the short-term rentals, the long-term rentals, and some are just like, we're just buying another house. We got to stay here for schools, or we got to stay here for work. So we're just going to buy another house.
In the last 2 weeks, I had 2 clients that were looking for rentals that have turned into they're purchasing instead.
Mm-hmm.
Two clients. So that's just happening a lot because they can.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of programs. There's a lot of programs available. Brian can get them set up and. So.
Yep. The programs and opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that's when people buy. There's the right tool and the right opportunity. So, but yeah, it is good to see that that the market's holding strong as far as price and inventory, and then obviously some of these numbers can be off because August, September, and October we've had 3 hurricanes come through, which kind of changes the flow of things.
September can be a slower month for sure. So that's not surprising. And we were coming out of a very unusual market. So things had been changing. We were in a little bit of a shift. But I really feel that we've settled and we are on that the way it should be, just the regular kind of an incline and appreciation. So.
Well, cool.
Yay.
Anything else on this?
That's it for that.
Sweet. The now I will try to find where we are in the so basically kind of moving into some things that I'm experiencing and that I've run into is I don't know if you saw it. Newsweek put out an article like 4 days ago. The number one insurance provider in the state of Florida, Citizens, has turned down 77% of hurricane claims from Hurricane Debbie. So Hurricane Debbie is the first week of August. So we're talking 2.5 months later. We're now understanding that 77% of those claims got turned down. Why, how, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I want to jump in here. I didn't see that article actually. But Citizens doesn't do flood insurance, do they? They're homeowners insurance.
Yeah.
So a lot of the claims are not with Citizens, but they're with the federal.
We're talking about Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie did a lot. A lot of the claims were for flood, though. storm surge.
Okay.
Even if you get hit with a hurricane,
Mhm.
right? You get hit with a hurricane and a storm surge, they're not
Mhm.
going to pay on the flood portion.
Yeah. So in the Tampa Bay area,
Mhm.
Debbie sat over Tampa Bay area for 3 days and rained and pushed trees over. It was a small hurricane per se. And then it went up to Big Bend, and they got the storm surge, and they got also wind as well.
Right.
So there's a combination of things there. But you have three people in play, as Marianne said. You have insurance, you have flood, and you have FEMA. And so what we're talking about right now is insurance, not flood or FEMA. People could be filing the wrong claim. That is definitely part of it.
Right.
But that's not what the article indicated. It was the state of Florida, who manages it, because it is the insurer of last resort, basically was scared that it would become insolvent if they paid out all these claims, knowing that they have all these other hurricanes that have come through or coming through. So right, wrong, correct, it'll all shake out. The point that I was kind of bringing up is that was 2.5 months ago, and did very little damage here in the Tampa Bay area. Whereas Helene, which also went by the Tampa Bay area, it just storm surge and flood wrecked us, did a ton of damage. And then Milton came, kind of across us. Unfortunately, it went south of us, so we didn't get the brunt of it. And it did go from a 5 down to a 2 when it hit. So even though Sarasota, Bradenton did get hit directly, it was kind of breaking up as it came ashore. But what people are doing is, in this process, is you have three types of people. You have people that have insurance, have flood, have resources to just take off and go. They know how to put their house back together. You have people that have insurance. They may have flood, they may have some resources, but they don't necessarily know kind of what order to put them in. And then you have people down in the third level, which either owned the house free and clear and thought only, once in 100 years are we going to get hit. So we're not insured, we're not flood, and, we're not properly, don't have the liquid assets to fix ourselves. And so there's a whole lot of people that are waiting for things to happen that may or may not ever happen. FEMA has the ability to give out, $45,000 for the house and $45,000 for, replacement of things and putting you up and that kind of stuff. And to date, the largest award I've seen was a realtor post in Tarpon Springs for $3,000. I was at a meeting with an insurance agent 2 days ago, and one of his clients hit the largest check any of his clients have gotten is $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
So $3,000 to $6,000 from FEMA isn't going to put your house together. It probably isn't even going to buy your appliances to air conditioning, kitchen appliances, all that stuff. Not going to do that. And so, in going through the investor group and working with these people and learning, what the FEMA 50% rule is, which is a value determined by the county appraiser and FEMA that says this is what the building is worth, because they're not counting the land. And if that number say $200,000, you can do $100,000 of repairs to put your house back together. There is a look back portion of it that they can go back as far as 5 years, and that's city to city. So Madeira Beach just did a meeting 2 nights ago, night before last, and they're only looking back 1 year. But they have the ability to look back 5 years. So if you did a roof for $20,000 3 years ago and your city goes back 5 years, that $20,000 comes off of that 100. So now you only have $80,000 to put your house back together. So that's what they're calling bumping your head on the FEMA 50% rule. And if you exceed the 50% rule, there's 3 things you can do. You can knock it down and build above the floodplain. You can raise your current house above the floodplain, and or you can chop the roof off and build on top of your existing, as long as you can build it up to you're above the floodplain. Those are the 3 options to stay on your current property.
Which is as because we talked about
Mhm.
this for my particular home, I was like looking at that, and it is not a cheap endeavor.
You have a figure on it?
Someone gave me a $600,000 figure for raising a house. I think that was incorrect.
Well, Google says.
What does Google say? What did Google say? Do you have a Google number?
Yeah.
What is it?
It says 120,000 to I think 300,000. It's I'll pull it up real quick. 200,
yeah,
130,000,
what's the date on that?
Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
It just says Google.
Yeah.
It just says Google.
Someone told me they had a quote. That it's kind of like, where'd you hear it on the internet?
Yeah.
But
that's why I preface it with Google.
I get that. And but I have heard that it is not it's not that easy to do, and it's not that inexpensive.
Right.
So but sometimes it is what you're going to need to do.
And FEMA, if you do qualify, offers a program that in conjunction with the city has to be participating in it, and the city pays you, and then the FEMA reimburses the city, but they could pay up to $30,000 of whatever that bill is.
Right. Also, your insurance, flood insurance, the federal flood insurance policies have a $250,000 cap that they pay out. But if it is a catastrophic loss, they'll give you an extra 30.
280,000.
280 for catastrophic loss. But those are things that it's what a lot of people are facing now.
Right.
And the FEMA 50% rule, it's kind of interesting on that, because if you're having work done that is permitted, work that needs to be permitted, that they're going to be watching very closely as to what the costs of these things are.
Right. Well, I walked into the investor meeting last week, and like, you guys probably think you got this all figured out, don't you? And I said, how many of you guys are aware of the 50% rule? And they're like, not a single hand went up. And there was actually one, the Godfather. And he, basically what I said, is, when you're buying a house here and a house there as an investor, and you're doing rehab and and pulling your dumpster up on Friday afternoon, filling it and having it pulled off Sunday when none of the city workers are working, you could probably get around, rehabbing some of these houses lightly without pulling permits. And I'm not at all suggesting you do that. But when every single house on the street is wrecked, and they've got appraisers and contractors and FEMA and insurance and flood guy going door to door to door to door, you're not going to get away with that.
Well, the other thing that you have to be aware of is trying to insure the property after the work is done, because they're going to be aware of what work was done, what the FEMA 50% rule is. And there, there's insurance. I'm not an insurance person. I'm not a mortgage person. I'm not a tax person. I'm not a builder. But I do know that these are the things that you have to look into, and you have to question. So you definitely want to be asking those questions.
So one of the things that beyond the rehab rental loans, so I'm gonna have to update my little yellow postcard here and add new construction, because that's the next solution beyond the FEMA rule, is basically you reconstruct the entire house with new construction. And so there's 9 lenders that I have access to that do new construction for the homeowner, for a investor, and or for a builder. And so it's trying to come up with this, the solutions to help get you moving forward, because there are steps that have to happen. The only permits that are being issued right now are what are called demo or remediation permits, unless you have not a quality of life, but a life, if you're on a breathing machine or kidney dialysis or something and you have to have power, they'll issue those permits for that in these zones. But in these zones, they're only issuing demo permits or water remediation permits. Then you have to have FEMA come through and rate your house. Basically go through and adjust your house, and that's either through this city building department and or FEMA, or the people that are going to issue that. Once you have that, and they're determined that you're under the 50%, that's when you get your building permits. So there are steps, there are things that you have to do to prove that you're doing it the right way, and that you're, because the city can be held, liable for not enforcing it, and they can lose money and opportunities from FEMA and from the federal government for not enforcing, the FEMA 50% rule.
I do want to mention on the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's website, if you look up your property, there is a drop down that will say FEMA letter, and it will tell you exactly what the FEMA percentage is, what the dollar figure is for your particular home.
Yep.
So
the very bottom of the letter is you can have your own appraiser do it
and rebut it.
And rebuttal it. So if it's too low and you want to stay there and you don't want to do all this, you can have a rebuttal, and then it will go under consideration. Right. Doesn't mean that that's the number they're going to take, but you can rebut it and fight it.
And if you need help getting that information, give us a call, reach out, text.
Yep.
That's really important information.
So the big aha, if anything, is time is not, waiting is not what you want to do. You want to be moving forward and putting together a plan and acting on that plan. Because the insurance company, the flood, everybody's going to try to offer you as little as possible, because there's the next guy that's also next to you needs help also. And so in potentially using loans to get things started, you can get your contracts, get your bids, get everything moving, and then you can, and now you've got your insurance quotes, then you can, bring on a public adjuster or attorney or whatever you need to do to fight for you on your behalf with these insurance companies, flood companies, FEMA, etc. Like I said, you have a year to put some of these things in place, but you want
to get your claim in right away.
Those little M words, those little M words aren't going to wait a year for you to start growing and popping up and causing other additional problems.
Yeah.
So, but that would be,
and I found out that if you don't try to mitigate the damage right away, your claim can be denied because you made the situation worse. Yeah.
Yep. Sitting on your thumbs is not a justifiable defense by the insurance companies. They just go denied.
Right.
So the last thing that Marianne brought up that I thought we should share.
Question. I have the property that was damaged. My property is the rental property. I have tenants in there, and note, renters, flood is not covered under a standard renter's policy. So if you want your belongings to be covered in the event of a flood, you need to have a special
flood policy.
A special policy or
rider.
Thank you.
Rider.
Yeah, in addition to it. So anyway, so just make sure you talk to your insurance broker about that. But for me, I'm covered for the some of the contents and my property, but I am not covered for my loss of income. My vacancy. And if I lived there, I would not get money for rehousing myself. So in my case, my mortgage is due. What about forbearance? Can you talk to me, Brian, about forbearance and what the situation is?
So pre-meltdown, there was no such thing. I won't say no such thing, but it wasn't talked about. And through the meltdown of 2008 through 2010, banks were just coming in. You missed your 3 payments, grab the house, go into foreclosure, whatever the case is, lock the house down with foreclosure papers. Through COVID, forbearance was, they kind of went, well, we probably don't want all these houses back. It tanks the real estate market. So they offered forbearance, and there's 3 different types of forbearance for mortgages. And I'm not at all saying that you should do forbearance. I'm just giving you information so you can make an educated decision. And you definitely need to talk to your attorney. You need to talk to your accountant. You need to talk to your tax guy. Make sure that this is the right thing for you. And make sure you qualify. You know, the PPP loans, they're arresting people now for the PPP loans that, I have a business, give me $10,000. And they didn't have a business. Well, those people are now going to jail for fraud. So don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. But forbearance is a tool that is not supposed to affect your credit scores, because there is a presidentially declared master disaster area.
Super disaster.
Say that 10 times for this area. So forbearance is something that is offered, but an option to look into through not only your mortgage, but credit cards, car payments, student loans, all that stuff. It's not supposed to affect your credit scores, but when people pull your credit down the line 7 to 10 years, because that's how long stuff stays on your credit report legally, they will see that there's a gap in payments, and it will say on their forbearance. So people could in the future make determinations on you not paying bills now to whether or not they're going to issue you credit in the future. However, that doesn't fix your problem right now. And so you can call your lender and find out what they offer. You definitely need to read the paperwork, because there are people that I know love and would love to help, did not call for help, did not read the paperwork, and they signed forbearance paperwork, and 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year later, they were stuck. So VA, they will give you a 3-month forbearance, but at the end of 3 months, you had the 3 months plus the 4th month in full right then, or they went to foreclosure. So a lot of VA people got,
So it's not that you don't have to pay it.
Right.
It's not that you there's different ways to repay. Like some of them are you have to repay it all.
Yep.
After the 3 months.
Yep. So VA is set up that way.
Okay.
Some of them are set up that they just put whatever you miss, whether it's 3 payments, 6 payments, 9 payments, 12, whatever they approved you for, they just take that total balance and add it to the back of your loan and have you re-sign an amendment to your loan, adding that amount of payments to your loan. Mm-hmm. Nothing changes other than you just did make those payments for that period of time. The third way that I'm aware of was they take that sum of money for however many months you missed, they divide it by 12 and they add it to your current payment. So raising your current payment by that amount per month, and you repay it over the next 12 or 24 months. And so you don't get out of paying it. And there are legal implications. There are potentially future credit implications, but depending on what situation you're in and who you're getting the advice from, you would get that forbearance paperwork from your lender and have your professionals, your attorney and your accountant, review it to make sure you qualify and make sure it's financially the best thing for you.
And I want to say that you want to be careful to not just listen to what the lender has to say that, oh, you can do this. Mm-hmm. You also want to check with your accountant and CPA, or make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into.
And the big aha that came out of the meltdown is people were getting advice from their lenders. People were getting advice from professionals they thought they could trust that told them to miss their first payment so that they could start the short sale procedure or the foreclosure procedure or the whatever procedure, and make sure you get that in writing that they're telling you to miss payments, to stop paying before you stop paying, because that's just he also said, she said.
And during COVID, a lot of people misunderstood, and they did forbearance, and then they were hit with a large bill that was even worse than paying as they went along. So yeah. Thank you. That's some good information.
Yep. And I don't know, some lenders will say, no, we only do forbearance on primary residences, second homes, and investment properties can be sold. Obviously if your investment property or second home is damaged, you may not be in a position to clear the mortgage. So you may have to put it together and at least get it to that level so you can clear the mortgage. So you definitely need to, be upfront as to the status and occupancy of the home that you're trying to get in forbearance.
The other thing that I'm looking into is a small business loan for that.
Mhm.
Just because there is some money for small business loans. There's money for small business loans for housing costs and renovation, etc. So
Yep. So there,
I'll
yeah,
let you know when I find out. I
yeah,
haven't found out.
yeah. There's three funds. There's purchase funds. There's what they call rehab funds. They have rehab funds, and then they also have basically running your business. Your I can't think of the word.
Right.
Or
Like
your
operational?
operational funds, correct. And so, yes, so
The other thing,
small business administration is another opportunity if you're have rental properties that you're running under a business name. Yep.
the other thing to keep in mind is that there's a lot of misinformation out there. I heard people saying that if you have no power for 24 hours, FEMA is going to give you $750. Anyway, just be cautious.
Yep.
Be cautious.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Anything else you got going on?
anything else? No.
Right.
Obviously we try to keep, Upper Pinellas up, I'll talk about the positive things. So hopefully wasn't, just Debbie Downer story after Debbie Downer, but hopefully it's useful information that you can help, put together your plan and how to move forward or, figure out
And
what you're going to do.
I kind of feel like I'm almost done talking about the hurricane. Okay,
Well,
let's move on.
well, I went to an appointment Tuesday morning that usually takes me 15 minutes from here to get to. It took me 45 minutes to get there. And I said, the snowbirds must be here, school's back in, and we've already forgotten about the hurricane. Because everybody's just gone back to work.
Yes.
If you're not living in it, you've gone back to work, and the streets were a mess.
Yes.
On Tuesday, and they were a mess again today when I went down St. Pete.
Very
Normally
bad
takes
today.
me 30 minutes,
Mhm.
took me 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And
It doesn't help they've torn up 19.
Well, I was going to say, I have 15 stoplights because I counted them today because I was so mad. 15 stoplights from here to my meeting in St. Pete. And somewhere in between there, I think it's 6 between here and 8 once I get to the other end. I call it the Audubon. As soon as you get to the spot where there's no stoplights on US 19, people are doing 90 miles an hour.
No.
Well, they had both sides of the Audubon
Stopped.
People pulled over, writing tickets. I mean,
Oh.
for that whole, from Countryside Mall through Park Avenue. And I'm not talking like 3 on each side. I'm talking like 12 to 15 police officers on each side of it, just pulling people over, just writing tickets.
Lucky you, they didn't catch
Well,
you.
I didn't catch. I was driving the speed limit.
I'm sure. Thanks so much, Brian.
Yep.
I don't have anything for like fun things to do this weekend, but the weather is amazing. There's lots of pumpkin patches, fall festivals. Get out there, have fun. Let us know what you did.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my crab traps out this weekend.
Yes,
I've already missed 3-4 weeks of that. So
great.
Get those in the water and start eating some crabs.
Great.
All righty. Thanks for being a part.
Guys.
We'll see you later. See you next week.